it's Christine from Cards by Christine, and I'm here with you on a Tuesday for our second episode of the color series. Last week we went over in the catalog where you can find all the different coloring tools and accessories, and then we went into a little bit about the difference between, flip down, the difference between the Stampin' Blends versus the Stampin' Write markers, and I went through a little bit about coloring. You guys, I rolled right into the second one for you right away here, so you can, everything was fresh and ready here. We talked about how the differences in the coloring. One thing I failed to tell you guys about Stampin' Blends that I have been told in the past was that the better that the front of your image looks is based on how bad the back looks. The darker and more colorful that the back is, the better that you've done on the front side. So that's what I've heard. And that's why it's always good to have that piece of paper underneath you while you're coloring. Okay, so I don't think I'm gonna cover much more about these. We're done with these for the time being. If you guys have more questions or have any comments or questions, just reach out to me. Or, you know, if you want to add anything to suggestions, you're more than welcome to. One of the things, oh, I forgot to show these though. One of the things that you can use alcohol blends, or sorry, the blends with, are using them to make these backgrounds, these beautiful backgrounds. Carissa made all these cards, and she used blends with rubbing alcohol. Okay, so you guys, I did a paper pumpkin video back in, I think, June, where I actually made this card right here. I went through the process of actually demonstrating and showing it so that you guys could see how it was done. And it's using the alcohol with Stampin' Blends to do that technique. So that is one of the other things that you can use these markers for, is this cool, awesome background look. Okay, so that's that coloring medium. Okay, so now I want to talk about something that's been around the block a time or two and has never gone away. And for 20 years, you guys, my stamping experience, I've been doing this kind of a technique with coloring. They have these things that are called sponge daubers. They fit on your finger like this. And I actually have one that I labeled for glue. It's tacky, and we used it on a silicone sheet dipped in the glue, and we used that to color, or not color, but put adhesive on the back. So sponge daubers can also be used for other things besides color, okay? So sponge daubers are really a close tie to sponges. I always get, these are the Stampin' Up! Sponges. I always cut mine into sixths, or even you could cut them smaller. That's probably a sixth. And then you can use those for coloring. And then those tie in with blending brushes. So that's what we're gonna focus today on. Let me make some room here. Is coloring with these kind of soft things. I like to pet them, you guys. They're so soft. Okay, so we're gonna talk today about coloring with these kind of mediums here. So sponge daubers, sponges, and the blending brushes. And I'm covering this, even though Stampin' Up! Doesn't have them available anymore, you guys still have them in your vault, I'm sure. So just to recap here on this, you can find these coloring tools. I think it was page 129, 128, and 129, you guys. They're over here in this section, okay? So, sponging. So, when you add embossing to the image, like to your paper, and it raises it, that's how you can add this texture to it, the color to it. So if you don't have, so let's grab our red. If you don't have any raised image, you're just gonna go around. I always dot off because it's such a sharp contrast. And then I work myself onto the paper, and I'm going in light little circles. So you can add color to a piece of paper by using a sponge dauber and then rolling it over your paper. The same thing happens with a sponge. You can just dip in here. I always start off because look what happens. If you go straight to your paper, you're gonna get all that splotchiness. Or if you get that initial ink off, then you can work your way onto the paper and add color in that manner. One of the things Tammy Sokolik, when she wants to add color to the edges, she works her way onto the paper like that. If you want to just sponge the edges, other way you can do it is picking up and holding your paper and sponging the edges. So this is a cool way to add this element of color to the edge of your paper with a sponge, and you can do it with a sponge dauber like that. So if you have a white piece of paper and it just stands out like a sore thumb on your project, add a little color to the edges to make it softer. Okay, so when you have the raised image, so this you can tell it's embossed, it's raised up, I would definitely use a sponge dauber. When you use a sponge, it's too big in that little area. A sponge dauber works really nice, but what I used in the center of these flowers was a little Q-tip. You can just dip your Q-tip right into the ink pad, dip off a little, and then go straight for it, okay? So that's a Q-tip. I didn't even bring a Q-tip in here, but you can use a Q-tip with your coloring. Now, blending brushes. So I have maybe 9 of them, and what happens is after a while, it takes on a color. And so I'll generally use this one for the green. I'll use this one for blues and purples, and this one for blue. I know there are people out there that never clean their brushes. They maybe have 20 brushes, they keep them in a bag, and they are always used for like that color tone, and they never wash them out. That's perfectly fine, but also I rinse mine out. As long as you use a water-based ink, you can generally get most of the ink out. It still stains it, but here I'll show you that this is green, and I'm gonna dip in the red, and it's gonna give me the red. And when you use the blending brush, what it does is it adds some pretty awesome color softly to your paper. You can see that it looks green, but it's coming out red. So as soon as I was done using the brush, I ran it underneath the water because it's water-based ink, and I just scrubbed it around, not scrubbed it, but like just used my hands to get as much ink out as possible. And then when I dry these, I always dry them with this plasticky up so that the water can drain down versus getting caught into there. When I dry my daubers, I put them on their side to dry. Sponges don't matter so much. So these are blending brushes, sponges, and sponge daubers. Some samples that I have, where did all my cards go? Here. The cards that I wanted to show, oh, you guys, I forgot to show you this card. This is one of my favorites. It's a beauty. Krista made this one. I absolutely love it. But this goes back to the using blends with alcohol. Sorry, I had to share that one. Let's see here, some sample. Oh my gosh, you guys, here's another one too. She does fabulous work with her blending with the inks. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I want to show you this one and this. These are 2 cards that were from previous classes where we used the blending brushes. This one's called the Beauty of the Earth class. It was on July 1st. This one was called Ink, Paper, Scissors, Timeless Tropical, sometime in the 3rd week of July. You guys could go back to either of these class videos and watch the process of using the blending brushes to make these backgrounds. So these backgrounds were created with a brush. How do you get this crisp line like this? That's by creating a buffer, like putting a piece of paper and then sponging or blending on the one side and then flipping the paper over and then blending the other side. That's how you can create a mask to do that nice solid line with our horizon, but then you can see the yellow, the orange, the coral, they all kind of blended together. So these were done with blending brushes. Okay, oh, we're only at 9 minutes, cool. Okay, so that's what I've got for daubers, sponges, blending brushes, like kind of soft things that you can add color to your project with. Whenever you do a background like this, you always want to do your blending brush first, or your sponge dauber, or your sponging first, and then stamp. So like on the case of this one on the inside, you would do the green bottom first and then stamp. If you would stamp and then take your brush, you're gonna blend this brown ink from the tree trunk back and forth. Same with this. Had you stamped the trees first and then tried to do all that coloring, you would have a hot, muddy mess of black, muddy colors all over the place. So whenever it comes to adding that background color, that is the first step in the process, is adding the background color. For this, also, you just add a little bit of color for that one. So those are some of your soft coloring mediums, okay? Now, as long as we've got a little time, I'm going to talk about how we can use, what else? Okay, we'll talk. So I'm going to leave coloring what these things for the next episode, but we're going to talk a little bit about Reinkers. Oh, yes, this will lead in Kelly's Technique Thursday that you guys saw last week. Was a super cool technique using Reinkers. Another way that you can add color to a project is by using a baby wipe and Reinkers. So sometimes people don't ever feel like they need to buy Reinkers. You know, I'm one of those people. I never, ever bought Reinkers. I thought to myself, I won't be stamping long enough to need Reinkers. Well, you guys, 20 years later, had I bought the Reinkers 20 years ago, I'd have all the, I'm getting this all over myself. I'd have all those ink pads that, that I now have are dried out, because that's what happens. Water-based ink pads do dry out. You guys, I don't know what's going on with this poor little Reinker, but it looks like I got a murder scene here. So something's happening. Let's not get it all over, but it is water-based. Once you wash your hair, do the dishes, you guys, that takes all the ink off your hands. It gets rid of all the evidence. Okay, so with Reinkers though, you can re-ink. You guys, I did a tip. Nope, actually Kelly did a tip Tuesday, many moons ago, a year ago probably, on how do you re-ink your ink pad. So I'm not going to do that now, because you can search in the feature of the Cards by Christine business page about that. What I want to do is show you why you want to have Reinkers besides to re-ink your ink pad. There is a set out here called Gorgeous Leaves, and we're going to take this one and we're going to use him instead of that one. And this is called a baby wipe technique, but I just want to show you, use a baby, and it's a baby wipe, it's a flushable wipe, and what you do is you put Reinker on a baby wipe, right? And Kelly might have been a little bit more finesseful with this than I am, but I haven't done it for many, many, many years, if at all. I can't say, maybe I've done it once in my life, but I'm just adding Reinkers, and it's not a lot, you guys. It may think, oh, you're using a lot of your Reinker, but you're not really. I'm just putting a little bit. I'm hardly, barely even squeezing, and you're like, that's ugly. It is, but what happens here is I'm going to take this scratch paper here. Oh, this one right here will be good. And what you do is you dip into here. So you've basically created an ink pad, and I don't know if you need to like swirl that around differently, but what it does, it gives you this awesome ombre effect. So I'm pretty sure by now I can share, like, this was Kelly's Technique Thursday card from last week, kind of like what I just showed you how to do. You can add, and she probably used more acute areas, like not as big as what I just did. So you could do a little over here. You can mix this up is what I'm thinking now, that not to use such big, oh my God, it's like all over me. And then like over there. And then what happens is, I think you got to clean the stamp every time, but I'm going to try to like line it up good again. But you could clean the stamp in between use and then stamp. And it's just, so especially with this changing of the seasons now that we're having here in Wisconsin, we're getting the fall colors. So you could pull in all those different colors that you see in the trees, and you could definitely create some very cool, real life looking, some stamped images. So you guys, I don't know. Oh, I bet Kelly used this in her card last week, and that's why it is all inky dinky do all over me. I bet that's what it is. So, okay. So I think you want to make sure you get the right cover on the right cover, and I'm pretty sure that this goes like this. So I think that what you could do with this baby wipe too is you could keep adding color as, like, let's say you're making 10 cards that you, like in her case, She made all these different leaves on here. So pretty, you guys can see the Stella on there. It's all glittery, awesome. You could keep adding ink as it uses up in your baby wipe. So, okay, so that is the reinkers. Another purpose to have reinkers versus just reinking your ink pads. The next episode that I share with you guys, I'm going to use reinkers actually to color like with my Stella pen and also to color with these aqua painters so that you can see another purpose to having the reinkers. So next week we're going to do a little bit more on actually coloring with different colors, okay? So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Gave you a little bit a little more inside information as to what the blending brushes and sponge daubers are all about, and then using reinkers. So, all right, so make sure you stay tuned for Thursday for Kelly's next Technique Thursday card, and then also we'll have class on Thursday night. Yeah, we'll see you guys later. Lots of sunshine, love, and hugs to you guys. Bye.